So, you guys, my mind is currently being blown by Richard Wright. The forward is by none other than, or the introduction is by Cornel West. You guys know how I feel about introductions. Yes, I did read it before I started the book. Just lost my place, but it doesn't matter because I like rereading. Anyway, I'm reading Black Power, and I tell you, the contents are very strong, and you know you're in for a good lesson. Black Power, these are the index for Black Power, or the content for Black Power, The Color Curtain, and White Men Listen. So I'm going to tackle this one first, and then I'll read another book, which, of course, I'm reading a couple of books right now. And the introduction was obviously amazingly wordy. The verbiage is, come on, it's Dr. Cornel West. I mean, what do you expect? It's going to teach you something. And obviously he adores Richard Wright and his vision and his mind and what he had to offer to African American literature.
I sat in that chair. I sat in that chair and I opened up that Richard Wright book. My mind was blown. I couldn't stop reading. I couldn't stop the learning process from happening. It's Richard Wright month. I'm smarter than you. My turn came to greet the audience, and I rose and spoke somewhat as follows. Men of Ghana, your great and respected Prime Minister has extended to me an invitation to see your country, its people, and the rapid rate of development that you are making. It is with pride that I've come to look upon the labor of a man who attended our American schools and who has dedicated his life to the struggle for the freedom of his country. I'm one of the lost sons of Africa who has come back to look upon the land of his forefathers. In a superficial sense, it may be said that I'm a stranger to most of you. But in terms of a common heritage of suffering and hunger for freedom, your heart and my heart beat as one. Centuries ago, the living bodies of our forefathers were dragged from these shores and sold into slavery. Centuries ago, the bodies of our forefathers formed the living instruments which the white men of Europe used to build the foundations of the Western world. Centuries ago, we were reduced to nameless, stateless pawns shuffled by the will of Europeans and Americans across the chessboards of history. Centuries ago, our tribes were so mauled, mixed, and scattered that we could not even speak to one another in a common tongue. Hearing speakers who did not raise their voices, or maybe they had not understood, I sat. The Prime Minister rose to speak. The chairman asked the crowd to pledge their personal loyalty to the leader, and I saw 20,000 palms shooting willingly upward, and their colors, orange, brownish, dark, yellow, and dingy gray, made me feel that I was gazing upon a sweep of newly turned earth. And from the rapt look on their faces, I knew that these men had never before in their lives made such a pledge to a secular cause. Here was a religion melting in politics. Prayers were becoming pledges. Hope was translating itself into organization. Devotion was becoming obedience. Trust was turning itself into discipline. And reverence was being converted into vigilance. This month was something. Man, Richard Wright blows my mind. I'm telling you. I need to watch me another makeup tutorial. I got makeup in places I didn't know I had on my face. Anyway, hey guys, this is Denise Cooper, and this is my mid-month wrap-up, or not actually a wrap-up. This is just a mid-month check-in because July is Richard Wright month. He owns July for me every year, and I'm just going to constantly keep my setup with April being Coetzee month, and June is for James Baldwin. Oh my gosh, and I'm going to have to add J. California Cooper for January. I cannot wait to read some more of her books, but this is July, and yeah, Richard Wright owns this month for me. This book is, I thought Black Boy was my favorite. I've read Native Son 3 times. The Outsider, after reading Black Boy. If anybody has not read Richard Wright, and you want to know where to start, because we get that question a lot. I notice a lot of people that are discussing books or talking about anything, whether it be makeup or hair, someone always wants to know, like, where should I start? What's the, where are the beginning points, right? And for me, if you've never read Richard Wright, please read Black Boy, which is him telling his own story. Then if you want to read something fiction by Richard Wright, and you've heard millions of things about his famous native son. I mean, come on, James Baldwin did Notes of a Native Son. James Baldwin, the Great, did Notes of a Native Son on the great Richard Wright. Okay, so that should tell you how boss Richard Wright is. So if you have not read him yet, I hope I have convinced you. I have met some people that this month, since I've moved on a different side of town, kept asking me, what are you reading? I was reading James Baldwin. And they were like, well, how is he? And I've never heard of James Baldwin. I was like, why? So anyway, so now I'm reading Richard Wright, and they keep seeing that, that Black Power cover. And maybe they think I'm, it's Black Lives Matter all over America. And that is definitely true. Right? So no matter what makeup you have on, no matter what's going on in your life, whether you're black, white, purple, or blue, but if you want to start somewhere with Richard Wright, I would suggest Black Boy. And then if you want to go fiction, follow that up with The Outsider. Then you'll understand why an unforgettable character like Cross Damon, how cool is that name, first of all? Cross Damon. And if you know about Richard Wright, you understand name Cross is. Richard Wright, it's Richard Wright's month. I can't say anymore, you guys. Pick him up sometimes this month, even if you just started. Read a chapter or two, and you're not going to have to travel too deep and far into the book to understand that this man is the truth. Bye, guys. See you at the end of the month when I wrap up. I think it's time to watch a makeup tutorial.